The day before Thanksgiving, the town of Oakridge bustled with excitement as families prepared for the annual feast. The McAllister family had gathered at their ancestral home, a sprawling, centuries-old mansion nestled in the heart of the town. The house was an imposing structure, shadowed by ancient oaks that seemed to whisper secrets to the wind. Sarah McAllister had inherited the house from her parents, and every year she hosted a grand Thanksgiving celebration. Her 3 children, Anna, Michael, and Emily, returned to Oakridge from various corners of the country, along with their respective spouses and children. It was a reunion full of warmth and laughter, or so it should have been. Sarah was known for her elaborate Thanksgiving decorations. This year, she'd outdone herself, adorning the house with eerily lifelike mannequins dressed as pilgrims and Native Americans. Guests couldn't help but feel a chill run down their spines as they entered the mansion, where the mannequins watched with glassy eyes. As the evening wore on, the sense of unease grew. The wind outside howled like a restless spirit, and the shadows of the ancient oaks seemed to reach out towards the house. Sarah's children and their families exchanged nervous glances, wondering if their mother had gone too far with her decorations this year. As the McAllister family gathered around the enormous dining table, they began to realize that Sarah had vanished. Her chair at the head of the table sat empty, and the tension in the room thickened. The family tried calling her cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. Michael, the eldest of Sarah's children, suggested they search the house. The family fanned out into the dark corridors, their footsteps echoing in the silence. The mannequins stared down at them with their lifeless eyes, and the air grew colder with every passing minute. In the dimly lit parlor, Anna stumbled upon something that sent a wave of dread through the family. A trail of blood led from the door to a hidden room at the back of the mansion. The room had always been locked, and none of them had ever been inside. They forced the door open, and the sight that greeted them was one of pure horror. Sarah lay lifeless on the cold stone floor, her throat slashed, surrounded by an unsettling circle of candles and symbols. The walls were covered with cryptic writings, and the mannequins, dressed in their eerie costumes, seemed to be watching over the gruesome scene. Panic erupted in the mansion as the family members tried to comprehend the nightmare before them. Michael called the police, and soon, a squad car arrived. The local sheriff, Sheriff Baker, took charge of the scene. Sheriff Baker's stern face showed his concern, and he immediately ordered the family to stay in the living room while he began his investigation. He examined the room where Sarah's body had been discovered, trying to make sense of the cryptic symbols and the ritualistic setting. As the investigation unfolded, a disturbing truth emerged. Sarah had recently taken an interest in local legends, particularly one that told of a malevolent spirit haunting the mansion, seeking vengeance for an ancient wrong. The spirit was said to be bound to the land, and it would exact its revenge by possessing a member of the McAllister family every generation. The sheriff believed that Sarah's obsession with these legends had led her to attempt a dark ritual, hoping to appease the vengeful spirit. Instead, the ritual had gone horribly wrong, resulting in her gruesome death. The police began to question the McAllister family members individually. Each was a suspect in Sarah's murder, as the room was locked and only family members had access to it. Suspicion weighed heavily on Anna, Michael, and Emily, but no one could provide a definitive alibi. Sheriff Baker was determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, but the supernatural elements surrounding the case left him perplexed. He had seen strange occurrences in Oakridge before, but nothing like this. As the days passed and the tension in the mansion grew, Anna, Michael, and Emily became increasingly convinced that they were not alone in the house. They heard whispers in the night, felt cold hands brushing their skin, and saw shadows moving in the corners of their vision. Desperate for answers, they decided to conduct a séance. They gathered in the room where Sarah had been found and attempted to make contact with her spirit. The atmosphere in the room grew heavy, and a sense of impending doom hung in the air. During the séance, Sarah's spirit manifested, but it was clear that something was terribly wrong. Her voice was distorted, and her eyes blazed with an otherworldly rage. She accused her children of abandoning her, of not believing in the ancient spirit's power. In a chilling revelation, Sarah claimed that the vengeful spirit had possessed her, using her as a vessel to continue its quest for revenge. It sought to eliminate every McAllister family member, believing that they were all responsible for the ancient wrong that had brought the spirit into existence. The malevolent spirit unleashed a barrage of supernatural horrors upon the family. The mannequins came to life, stalking the terrified McAllisters through the haunted mansion. dark forces and spectral apparitions materialized, intent on fulfilling the spirit's twisted agenda. The family fought for their lives, using whatever makeshift weapons they could find. Emily, who had always been skeptical of the supernatural, discovered hidden knowledge within the mansion's library that could potentially banish the spirit. With the knowledge in hand, they performed a counter-ritual to sever the spirit's connection to their bloodline. In a climactic battle, the McAllisters faced the malevolent spirit in the room where it had claimed Sarah's life. The ritual they enacted caused the mansion to shake, and the spirit unleashed its full fury. The room itself seemed to come alive, walls cracking and the ground trembling. At the heart of the chaos, the spirit confronted the family. The battle between the living and the vengeful dead raged on, with each member of the McAllister family demonstrating their courage and resilience in the face of supernatural terror. As the ritual reached its crescendo, the malevolent spirit let out a deafening scream, and its form began to dissipate. The family watched in both awe and horror as it faded into nothingness. The mansion fell eerily silent once more. The ordeal was over, but the McAllisters were forever changed. The spirit had exacted its revenge and severed its connection to their bloodline, but the scars on their souls would remain. The McAllister mansion, once a place of family gatherings and celebration, was now a haunted relic, a testament to the horrors they had endured. In the aftermath of the battle, Sheriff Baker arrived at the mansion to find it in a state of disarray. The McAllister family was gathered in the living room, their faces pale and worn from the traumatic events they had experienced. The sheriff, with a mix of disbelief and relief, took in the scene and listened to their harrowing account. The McAllisters recounted their ordeal, providing the sheriff with the details of the malevolent spirit, the haunting manifestations, and the final confrontation that had banished the vengeful entity from their lives. As they spoke, it was evident that the events had shaken them to their core, leaving them with a lingering fear of the supernatural. Sheriff Baker, a practical and no-nonsense lawman, struggled to reconcile the bizarre story with the evidence before him. The cryptic symbols, ritualistic setting, and the gruesome murder of Sarah were hard to ignore. He knew that something extraordinary had taken place, but he couldn't fully grasp the supernatural aspects of the case. Sheriff Baker launched a thorough investigation into the events that had transpired at the McAllister mansion. He sought the assistance of experts in the occult and paranormal, hoping to shed light on the mysterious occurrences. The mansion was thoroughly examined, and the cryptic symbols and writings were documented for analysis. Meanwhile, the McAllister family members were questioned once more, their statements cross-referenced and scrutinized for inconsistencies. The evidence suggested that the malevolent spirit had indeed been present in the house. But proving this to the wider world remained a daunting task. The investigation stretched on for weeks, with no clear resolution in sight. The McAllister family, while relieved that the malevolent spirit had been banished, still felt the weight of the events that had transpired. The mansion had become a somber place, a reminder of the horrors they had faced. Finally, the experts in the occult and paranormal were able to provide some closure. They confirmed that the symbols and ritualistic setting were indeed linked to ancient local legends and dark forces. The malevolent spirit that had tormented the McAllisters had been real, and the ritual had severed its connection to the family's bloodline. With the investigation officially closed, the McAllister family faced a choice. They could leave the mansion behind and try to move on with their lives, or they could choose to embrace their legacy, accepting the darkness that lingered in their family's history. The family decided to stay and keep the mansion, but they undertook a profound transformation of the property. They removed the eerie mannequins and restored the mansion to its former glory, attempting to erase the haunting memories of the malevolent spirit. The room where Sarah had been found was sealed off, becoming a somber memorial to their lost matriarch. A year later, Thanksgiving came again. The McAllister family had chosen to celebrate the holiday once more in their ancestral home. The decorations were warm and inviting, devoid of the chilling mannequins and unsettling symbols. As they gathered around the dining table, they felt a sense of unity and gratitude, but they couldn't escape the shadows of the past completely. They knew that their lives had been forever changed by the malevolent spirit and the horrors they had faced. Yet, as they shared their meal and recounted the events of the past year, they also recognized the strength of their family bonds. The ordeal had brought them closer, and they had emerged from the darkness with a deeper appreciation for the moments of joy and togetherness. The McAllister family continued to live in their ancestral home, but they carried the memory of their harrowing Thanksgiving with them always. The malevolent spirit was banished, but the ancient legends and the darkness that clung to their history would never truly leave them. As the years passed, the family remained vigilant, knowing that the supernatural forces that had tormented them might not be the only ones lurking in the shadows. They had witnessed the thin veil that separated the world of the living from the world of the dead, and they would always be prepared to confront the unknown. And so, in the heart of the town of Oakridge, the McAllister mansion stood as a silent sentinel, a testament to the enduring spirit of a family that had faced unimaginable horrors on a Thanksgiving night and had emerged, forever changed, on the other side.